this specific channel because we're in build up mode, while the other channel, does its thing. This channel is just going to be mostly lives. So some of the phone calls, for the people that know me, the phone calls that I would do with you guys that were like 5 to 10 minutes, is kind of going to be over here, but extended and more like rant, like, deep dives and just freestyling. It's going to be a lot less structure over here because I just don't have the time, the bandwidth, the energy, the patience to do all of that editing and all of that, and it's just too much. Okay. I had almost 400 videos on the other channel. That is not going to happen overnight over here. And I'm just coming to terms with that fact. But in other news, since we are here, I want to get into this Onika situation. So Nikki was on Twitter yesterday, last night, whatever it was, again, and I feel like what's happening is, for one, okay, so if you know me from the previous channel, you know that we had a heavy focus while we talked about celebrity gossip, celebrity energy readings, collective energy readings, did all of that. We also did things that would pull that energy to, make it more relevant to your spiritual life, right? That's the whole premise of me doing this channel like this. And there was a specific focus over there on top of the fact that I covered pretty much everybody. There were, some main characters over there. I don't feel like mentioning them over here just because the new people, we just gonna start some new tea over here, okay? And once that channel comes back, we'll get back into that. But I think for this channel, the way everything aligned, Nikki might have to be a case study for me because, at first it stemmed from the fact that I was feeling some type of way about the channel being gone after I had done a reading on her, right? And I wasn't necessarily trying to correlate the two. However, I have spoke about energy and how it works. And anybody who reads cards or is an intuitive, you also know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I've talked about that, touched on it. I'm not trying to go into that in detail. However, over here, I do feel like part of what she's doing is similar to what you would expect a quote unquote maybe light worker. Some people in the secular world would call it a whistleblower. In another world, they would call it a form of spiritual psychosis. In another community, they would call her a TI, a targeted individual. And I think that is kind of what I'm looking at. She, and I've said this before too, is rightfully exposing certain things that are going on in the industry. But I'm trying to figure out to what end. Like, what are you willing to lose in effort to do that? One of her last tweets last night has something to do with like, oh, no more music. I'm not putting music out, blah, blah, blah. The gag is I don't think we were ever going to get music, to be honest. If there was music to be had, we would have had it. And I think what the issue is that, hold on. Oh, my computer was going to die. I think the issue that we're seeing right now is the fact that I said in that reading, or in 2 readings I did on her, I had already said that she's in some type of, and she's already mentioned this too, that she's in some type of contract where she's basically, either money was stolen from her or she doesn't have access to money, okay, in the way that she needs to have it. And I said in my reading that she is also dealing with a spiritual contract in this whole situation that she cannot get out of for some reason. Now, I don't know if this has to do with the whole perpetuity term that's in most of these artists' contracts, or if it's some other deeper shit going on that we just don't have the words for. So she's online trying to explain some of this, and I feel like it's lost on most people what she's trying to explain, but I'm also slightly confused about some of it because it's not supposed to make sense. Some of this stuff is not supposed to make sense, and it's set up that way as far as like the warfare aspect of it all. So she's not just dealing with like, oh, I'm in a bad contract. She's dealing with a concerted effort to work against her, make her smaller in the industry, basically punish her for something. Now, the something that she did is what I feel like is tea. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I might have to do a reading on that. I don't know. But as far as like what she did to piss somebody off, and this always happens, you see it happen, but it's not as loud because you don't know what you're looking at. But this happens to celebrities all the time where it's like they're punished with, a lack of an endorsement. And in extreme cases, they can die. Now, she's talking about, what did she say in this last tweet? She's talking about, okay, this is another thing. She's bringing up issues with the whole Desiree Perez situation. So Desiree Perez, for those who don't know, I think pretty much everybody knows now, but Desiree Perez is the vice president or the president of Roc Nation, and which is a subsidiary of Live Nation. And she has had a federal case before. She's gotten pardoned by Trump, yada, yada, yada. Okay. The situation that's going on with her has more to do with what she has done, or why she's so much in the forefront right now is more to do with what she has done to her daughter, Desiree Perez, where she tried to, in Florida, it's called the Baker's Act. Other places it's called other things, but like 10 something, I forget what they call it in other states, but in Florida it's called Baker's Act, where they basically try to lock you up in a sane asylum against your will. Okay. And it's kind of an unlawful law to begin with. It's meant for specific cases, but I do feel like it's an inhumane thing in general. So the fact that they were able to do that, lure her to somewhere, try to, hold her against her will, do all this crazy shit, all because of all these other things, right? All because of all these other things. Desiree, to put it shortly, the cliff notes of it is that she's currently in court trying to fight against a machine, the machine being Roc Nation, and all of the concerted effort against her through all these different parties, being like doctors, lawyers, judges, all of this. Like it's something that is so common, that happens all the time. And I'm not even just talking about like in celebrity world, like the way this has been orchestrated is something that is so common. You can find plenty of people who can talk about their story and how basically a whole community of people basically came down on them. Okay. So I say all that to say, Nikki, I totally understand what she's doing, but I want to know, to what extent is she willing to, like, what is she willing to sacrifice in effort to do this? Or is this just a personal thing that she's trying to get off? Because constantly dragging in the general public in your little beef, and it's not little, I'm not trying to minimize it, but trying to bring in people who barely know what's going on. Is this just to shed light on the situation or just make people a little uncomfortable? Now that we know the Barbs are very powerful as a force, right? So I'm hoping that she's thinking that the more I continue to shed light on Desiree's case, the more it will continue to, it'll knock down a card in the house of cards and make it easier for what I need to get off, happen. So, okay, boom. Let's just say that that's the case. It still does not change the fact that you look like a clown. like you still look like a clown, because not only did you start this beef long before a release date of your rival, but then you turned into essentially promoting your rival's situation by beefing with them openly. And then we're supposed to look at you and be like, okay, well, I like, let's help Nicki. Like, it doesn't compute. Like, the what she is trying to do doesn't go together. It's not peanut butter and jellying for some reason. Like, to me, it's just looking very, very much so like, oh, I hope all of this works out, but like we might not find out the real true situation for like another year or two, or like when these other lawsuits come out again, or like. And I feel like also the way she's been able to get off, like as far as using her voice, um I think is a good thing, but I feel like it's not going to go unnoticed. It's not going to go unchecked. So that's why I bring up what is exactly, is she willing to be a martyr, for the sake of everybody else who comes up in the industry? I don't think we care about saving the industry. That's one thing. I don't think that anything that an artist can do right now is going to necessarily reshape the industry as a whole. It's already a failed system. It's already something that never really worked. They have milked it dry. And the legacy acts that we have, we are grateful for them, but we're probably never going to get a round of new legacy acts. Like, we're just going to constantly have these, fly by night artists that stay around for maybe 5 years, and then we don't care about them after that. Like, I just don't see the future in music necessarily changing. So if that's the case, then Nicki, this has to be kind of like a selfish thing. And that's okay if it's selfish. But are you willing to like go for it? Like, because you would have to blow up the whole block, is what I'm basically trying to get at. Like, you would have to blow up the entire block. And I feel like this is what I talked about in my other channel when I was talking, I was speaking on Drake's lawsuit, which, by the way, update to that, has fallen through. So, and that's no surprise there, but there's definitely a hand in why that's not happening as well. So there's a lot of corruption going on, which is the most obvious thing through all of this. How does this get uncovered though? I don't know if it's necessarily going to be because of Nicki. She's going to help, but as far as it like actually working in real time, what she's doing, I don't think we're going to see the effects of it necessarily. Like, I feel like, I don't know. But anyway, let me get into what she said, because there was something interesting that she mentioned about a little scheme. So she said, some of this is so unimportant, so I'm not even going to mention it. Well, let me also say this part. They don't want me to put out music. Me winning makes them feel like they lost. They're right. However, it didn't have to be this way. Lots of people part ways in business. They know how successful my next album is going to be. Tried to sign Wayne, Drake, me. So they keep wanting to take or stop my money simply because narcissists believe what you work hard for belongs to them. Fuming because they can't siphon any more energy, money, blessings, love, grace, joy, peace, the culture, no successful tours, just vibes and payola, casino. So she's obviously, throwing a jab at Jay-Z directly. And she mentions him. She even adds him, but he's like never tweeted since like 2022. So she even added him in a few of these tweets. Now, my issue with this, one, this is where I say I feel like she doesn't have the right people around her, because even if, say, all of this is 100% fact, right? Which I think is like generally fact. If this is all fact, laying it out in this way is not necessarily going to change anything. Because if we were just to scale back and put her in the shoes of a regular person, right? She's not a celebrity. She's not super notable. And I already mentioned that this type of thing as far as warfare in the 3D and 5D work, right? What exactly do you think would actually be happening right now? Nikki would probably get committed somewhere because people would be either afraid for her well-being or her own. Now, I don't think she's like losing it behind the scenes necessarily. I think she just pops off at the mouth without any regard to the repercussions of it. And I feel like that is the issue too, because it's not, there's like no, it doesn't feel like there's enough movement behind the scenes for her to be talking this way. You know, like as far as legal is concerned, like I don't even think she has any cases, any pending or open cases right now as far as like Rock Nation is concerned. So it's almost like what are you standing on exactly? Because when Drake was going through his UMG situation with Universal, he was making some statements online. You know, he was dropping hints about Aaliyah. He was dropping hints about Solange. You know, he was making a reference to the fact that okay, like there are clearly some sharks circling the tank or something. You know, like this idea of almost as if like everybody is trying to say gotcha or I know what you did last summer type energy or something. It's like they all want to say something, but I feel like just say that shit. Like if you're going to be this loud, what are you scared of? And if you're not scared, then just say it. Lay it all out. What oath are you held to that's got you this wrapped up? This is why I'm talking about it being some type of spiritual oath because, or a contract, something, because it's more to it than that. It's more to it than just like, oh, my money is tied up. Oh, I can't put out music. Oh, this person is trying to stop my bag. Oh, they're putting out fake hit pieces. Like, okay, but why? What did you do? What happened? And say it. Say it with your face to the phone. Say it so we can see you. Say it so that we know exactly what's going on. Because everybody talking cryptically behind each other's back out in the open is weird as fuck. And that's weird in any way. Like, I feel like that's weird when people do that and they're nobodies and they do that in real life. Like, I feel like it's stupid. Like, if you have an issue, say what it is in explicit detail. And don't worry about dragging other people in because you need more people to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the issue that I have with Nikki. Is like, don't call up other people to help you fight. Like, worry about calling up actual other allies that you have in the industry, or do you don't have anybody in the industry? Oh, okay, so that's a bigger problem. So you were burning bridges with people that were fucking with you, but then you also were burning bridges with people that were fucking with you. So you don't have any allies in the industry, so you can't even get other people to corroborate the story the way that you need them to, or they don't have enough courage to do it. So all of y'all are behind phones, subtweeting, sub-posting, but not really getting to the meat of the whole thing. So let me hurry up and get to this because this is actually just pissing me off the more I'm thinking about it. Because again, this is in real time. I'm looking at this situation a little late, but I'm also just like, okay, my critical thinking skills are set up in such a way to where it's like I'm evaluating all of it. All the information I feel like is important. However, I'm also seeing that some of this is a little wackadoo. Okay. So, okay. Let me get to this daggone tweet. Where is it, child? And how did they try to sign Wayne, Drake, and Nicki? That would have been the weirdest situation. Them going to Rock Nation. Why? All right. I have evidence that this was given to, a business manager who never told me. My lawyers and business managers, old and new, are aware. Let's see if they speak up or if I'll have to call them out by name. That same business manager stole from me many times. Then he was accused of killing a woman and leaving her in a hotel room. Not sure of the outcome of the case, though. I believe they later said she died of a drug overdose after he left the hotel room around 3 a.m. or something like that. That's what she said. Now, that story kind of reminds me of the girl who died. Is she talking about the girl who died in New York after or during Little Kim's birthday party? So, Little Kim had a birthday party in New York years ago, and there was something going on with a girl who was linked to Jay-Z, and they sent a guy to her house. Well, they're saying she said something about a hotel, but I'm gonna just finish this story. So they sent a guy to her house who was like associated with the party in some way. I don't know if he knew Little Kim or what the situation was, but he ended up killing the girl. I'm getting this story, like the details. I'm leaving out details, but okay, let's move on to the other thing that she tweeted. Okay, she's tweeting a whole bunch of Chucky shit. Okay, yada yada. Okay. This is where I wanted to get to. Okay, anytime Cock Nation's in the news for something they don't want you to know, a few things will happen. Will Smith will appear. A famous person is announced dead. Their allies will begin to post and say nasty things about the queen, and Lazy will pop up looking dumb. Now she's saying she recognizes this pattern, and pattern recognition is a thing that will save you. It will save your fucking life. Okay. So this is where again I do believe something is going on, and she may be telling the truth. However, she's really not peeling back all the layers. And even if you have critical thinking skills, it's not about that. If you're not on the inside, it's going to be hard for the average person to really understand what you're talking about. So she's mentioning the fact that Will Smith appears. A famous person is announced. Will Smith 2 days ago came out. I mean, I don't know what else was going on with him, but there was a story that's brewing talking about like why Willow originally shaved her head, which I thought was a strange thing to bring up. She was 10 when she did it at the time. She's like 20 something now. Why are we bringing it up now? The other element to that story that I thought was strange, well, interesting, just based off of the headline. In certain religions, they will make a woman shave their head as a form of submission. And that's not just in Jewish culture, that's other religions as well. And even in like say like on an Indian reservation, if you do something like dishonorable or whatever, like they will shave your head as like a form of punishment. So anyway, that's just a little side note. So she said that he comes up, there is some type of announcement, D'Angelo died. Then she said their allies will begin to post and say nasty things about the queen. I don't know who that is. So their allies, I mean, I guess I'm assuming the only person I can just really think of to the top of my head is Cardi B. So Cardi B starts posting about you. I mean, she really didn't, but I mean, I guess she did. They had their little spat, and Cardi will mention her indirectly in post. So anyway, and then she said something about Lacey will pop up looking dumb. I don't know that he's popped up yet. I don't even know if these allies have posted anything recent about Nicki, but this is what she's saying the pattern is. Now, she also goes into some other stuff that I don't feel like getting into. Okay, now this is what's kind of also interesting. She posted this long list of systematic breakdown, which again can just be retitled as spiritual warfare or targeted individuals, yada yada, whatever. Okay. The core idea is systematic breakdown. The tactic is about breaking a person down systematically, not in one blow, but through a long orchestrated campaign that chips away at their mental, emotional, social, and spiritual stability. It's like psychological warfare mixed with social engineering. Okay, boom. Now, all the points that she said that they attack. What's the is it Pavlov? No, not Pavlov. Pavlov's the thing with the dog and the treat. Whatever that little pyramid is of like your basic needs, that's what she's talking about. Okay. Key steps in the tactic: isolation and alienation. They slowly turn family, friends, and coworkers against the target through rumors, lies, and subtle manipulation. The goal is to make the person feel like nobody believes them and that they are alone against the world. Pressures and triggers. They engineer stress by setting up situations where the person is constantly frustrated, doubted, or attacked. Substances, poisoning, drugs, alcohol encouragement may be covertly introduced to push them into acting out of character. Surveillance and staging. They place cameras, recorders, or staged witnesses to capture the person at their lowest moments. Public shaming and reputation sabotage. Gossip, whisper campaigns, or selective video evidence are shared to damage the person's credibility. The image projected is, see, they're crazy, unstable, addicted, or dangerous. Institutional labeling. Once the reputation is weakened, they escalate, reporting the target to authorities, getting them flagged as unstable, or even placed on watch lists. This creates an official record that justifies further targeting and isolates them even more. The effect: the victim begins doubting themselves, reacting defensively, or breaking under the pressure. From the outside, it looks like the person is losing it, but in reality, it's manufactured breakdown designed to strip away their power, credibility, and support systems. Why it works: it's powerful because it uses the victim's natural human reactions against them. It turns allies into enemies. Okay. Now, if you are in the spiritual community, spiritual realm, I don't even like calling it the spiritual community because half of these people are wackadoo, but there are people who have had very unique experiences and things, and people that just know shit. So if you are part of that, you obviously know that this is something that can happen. It does happen, happens all the time. And intuitives and readers are the ones who kind of help pull people out of those situations by reading on their specific circumstances in real time. Okay. And why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because Nikki needs a friend. Like, somebody needs to get her. Okay. I mean, I know she appears to be grounded in some way, but she could very well be in danger in some way. And I just feel like it's not even conducive to her own well-being to be engaging in this type of fight like this. Like, it's just not even, it's not even smart. Like, it kind of reminds me of, like, if people get into a state, okay, and they start to see certain patterns, like I've mentioned, and they start to understand the role of people around them. The worst thing that you can do is not remain calm. The worst thing that you can do is start pointing fingers and blaming everyone for their role in something that's happening, even if it is happening to you. And my hope is that she just figures it out, because A business manager that's not gonna get you through, babe. Like, I'm gonna need you to get some type of lawyer and not the one that's attached to the label. Like, you need a lawyer who can deal with this type of stuff. And there's only a few that really understand this type of, this level of a breakdown. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I also feel like going just back to her music, I feel like it's it's gonna come to a point where people are gonna start choosing between, loving Nicki right now for who she is in totality, or loving the memory of Nicki. And a lot of people, are in a space where it's like you just gotta love the memory of Nicki, because Nicki currently right now is dealing with something so personal and so deep that we can't even really, like, there's nothing even that the public can actually do to support her. Now, of course, the Barbs can go on their little streaming farms and start spinning and streaming all day, every day, out of control to try to make the album, whatever. Okay, that's cute that you can do that. Press a button and then you got people playing your shit. Okay, that's very cute. However, I'm jumping around because I'm thinking about so many different things that are going on with her currently. She still is married to this man. And I feel like that has to do with why she feels almost entitled to speaking this way, because of him in some way. Like, I don't think someone named Zoo at the end of the day is somebody you want to play with. So I can't imagine that he's not connected to the streets, regardless of whatever probation he may be on. I feel like definitely there is some close association there. So maybe she keeps him around because she feels a certain level of safety. But I don't know. That's a little concerning as well, because it's almost as if Nicki is only safe in her house. Like, that's where she could probably feel the most safe. For her to list out, to post this list of the systematic or systemic breakdown that she's going through, tells me that she may not feel safe in public. She's probably the type of person where at right now, being home is the safest thing to her in her mind. But like, if she were to go out, she probably would be worried about like the waitress spiking her drink with some shit. Like, like, she's at that level where if she orders DoorDash and gets sick, she's worried about somebody poisoning her. Like, and I'm not saying that to be funny, like as if like she's really losing her mind. I just feel like she clearly is not feeling the most safe outside of her home. So I don't know where we leave that. I feel like we're going to continue to see how some of this unfolds. Because I just don't see how it can end well. This doesn't feel like an earthly victory of any sort. Like, I don't see her winning some lawsuit for $200 million or anything like that. Like, I really actually don't see that at all. What I see is a slow drip, a slow, what did I say in my reading? I mentioned it's almost as if she's being gutted upside down and they are slow dripping her body right now. Like, that's what I saw. And maybe that reading was a little too graphic. However, I do feel like it is very accurate to what's happening with her. You can't tell me differently. She's not even acting as if anything other than that is happening. You don't make it your business to stay on Twitter. First of all, you don't even make it your business to stay on Twitter this active to talk about people in an industry that you supposedly come from, right? Unless you have the time to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have the time. And what mindset do you have to be in to do that constantly? Okay, just think about that. These are the critical thinking questions that people need to be thinking about when they start reacting to her or anybody else. So I'm going to leave this there because I just felt like, one, I just needed to create a video to kind of get me in the mood of doing these videos a little bit more freestyle over here, because I just don't have the time to be pulling out the cards and doing all the things. And also, this helps me exercise and rest my intuitive brain a little bit. But yeah, so stay tuned for installment 2. I'm pretty sure she's going to tweet tomorrow, and we can dissect what she's saying over there as far as, I mean, child, she might start tweeting right now. It's midnight. She might literally start tweeting right now. So I will be back with another video on that. All right. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one.